Light chassis, nimble, fast. That'd be a good one.
Hi guys, I'm Tab. Welcome to this episode. Of course, in the last episode we had the rather wonderful McLaren, a great UK brand. Deciding to keep things UK, we also have a UK brand on this show. Founded back in the 1950s by a guy called Colin Chapman, alas no longer with us, now owned by a large Chinese conglomerate called Geely. Any ideas what it is yet? It is, of course, Lotus, and we're going to be taking a look specifically at the Lotus Exige. With me, I have the proud owner of said car. It is, of course, Martin. Martin, welcome. How you doing?
Hi guys, thanks for having me. I'm very good, thanks.
So, how long have you had the car for?
So around 18 months now, with a bit of road driving and some track driving.
Okay, so you're obviously into your track days, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about that when we get out in the car, in the beast. But of course, there's only one thing left to do really, and that's go for a little drive in this car. It is absolutely phenomenal. Let's take a quick look around it. A bit of a mean looking car. See, 380 sports, and that is 380 funds right there. Very low profile, this car. It's incredibly low down. Hard for me to get in and out of being so tall, but it's a good thing the owner is probably a little bit better sized for this car. Large spoiler on the back here, not just for decoration, absolutely provides a lot of downforce when this thing is hooning round a track, something it does very well indeed. So I think this car has a seriously cool interior. It's a lot of fun. The controls very minimal. Gear stick there, you can see right into how it works. Proper Heath Robinson style, really short, quick shift in this. Very responsive, designed for going around the track. But really, really nice, really fun interior. So Martin, you sold a car to get into this one. What car was that you sold?
So that was my beloved E90 M3.
Okay, and how was that compared to this?
Yeah, super fun, beautiful engine, very reliable. Just didn't have the wow factor that the Lotus has got.
Yeah, it's. I've owned an E92 M3 myself. They are pretty good cars. You've really got to work that engine though to get the best out of them. Right? They don't have much torque.
That's true.
I think it's 298 pound-foot from memory, and the BHP is what?
414.
414, yeah. Correct. Yeah. But when you hit that sweet spot, they are brilliant cars. But yeah, I mean, in terms of being a driver's car, obviously the M3, that E92 has the luxury factor as well. It's quite refined, and this thing that we're in now, this beast, this savage car, the Exige, is a totally different world to drive, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it's totally different, but you know, as you said, the beauty is that it's a sports car from the word go. And the minute you turn the wheel and you head off into town, any kind of speeds, it's just great fun.
Yeah, being sat in this now, it really does feel like a fun car. It is very planted, very responsive. You feel every little bump in the road, and basically you could probably say it is a street legal go-kart. In fact, I don't even know if it's fully street legal. It's that naughty. So what is it in this car? I think it detects every traffic light, and we hit pretty much every red one today, right?
That's totally true. They call me Red Light, that's my nickname.
For all the wrong reasons, obviously. So let's talk a little bit about the numbers on this one. We have a V6.
That's right, so it's 3.5 litre V6 with a supercharger bolted onto it.
Okay, and you can hear that supercharger when you put your foot down. And what would you say the comparison is like to the E92?
I mean, it's got more torque low down through the rev range, but in all honesty, the M3 engine is a nicer unit. This does the job. It's good for the car, and obviously Lotus have been using it for a long time, the Toyota unit.
Yeah.
But if I could, I'd love to put the M3 engine in the back of this.
Would you?
That would be nice.
Well, I think this engine's pretty good, right? And the traction control's quite clever in this. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So it's got the Bosch System, which gives it's also got a mode in race where it learns the grip. So it's traction control off, and it learns the level of grip and it backs off the traction.
Oh right.
Which is quite clever for track use. I have tried it in very soggy Ethel, and it actually started to really help me get through the corners. It's pretty treacherous conditions.
I've heard a lot of great things about the Exige as a platform, and the handling is phenomenal, right? And it's very progressive. You really know when it's going to kind of let go, right? Which is one of the things this car is very good at. I've owned cars previously that were a little bit less predictable, shall I say, specifically the Renault 5 GT Turbo that I had back in the day. There was no rhyme or reason to how that lost control. It would either be the back, the front, or both at the same time when you're least expecting it. And just in terms of the car and the reliability, I know, probably fair to say, Lotus, I think their design mantra is around fun, and then reliability probably second down the list. So have you had any issues with the car? I know you said it needed a new battery at some point, but that's really kind of maintenance. But what about any big breakages?
So nothing really to complain about too much apart from the battery. There is an annoying part of the back bonnet, the boot rather, which has got something of what feels like a 1990s transit van, which classes you in the back of the head when you open and close the boot regularly. And I actually dislodged at one point, and the boot wouldn't close while I was driving along. So I had the rear end of the car flapping around, which was great fun.
And I noticed there you were putting a lot of effort into steering the car, right? So why would that be?
Well, the joys of no power steering.
So this car doesn't have power steering, and is that a weight saving thing, or to give you more feel?
Yeah, I think probably a bit of both, to be honest. I'm not an expert, but obviously weight saving, and generally you're going to get better feel through the speed, going through different speed ranges in the car.
So one of the very impressive things about this car is the weight, or I should say lack of weight. How much does it come in at, Martin?
So it's 1,100 kilos.
1,100 kilos, right. So that is very light for a modern road-going car. I guess probably the average weight of a car these days, around about maybe 1,500 kilos, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And of course people get very hung up on the BHP number when they're talking about cars. How much BHP does a car have? But of course, that can sort of fade into being a bit irrelevant if the car you have weighs a lot. So if you've got a car with 1,000 BHP that weighs 95 tons, the same as the moon probably doesn't weigh that much, but it's not going to go very fast. The golden ratio that we like to talk about is, of course, the power to weight ratio, or BHP per ton, that we like to use. So what would this car come in at, do you reckon?
So it's around 350 horsepower per ton.
And when you get to that sort of number, you are talking about a very fast car indeed, right? And this thing really shifts, and I guess from a driving perspective, it's a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what Lotus is all about. Is to say add lightness.
And when you get north of 400, 450, then you have something that is truly bonkers. So this is probably, I guess you could say, as much power as you need for the road, right? Which is why you take this thing on a track, so you can really unleash the full potential. I mean, this thing could get round bends probably far faster than is safe on most UK roads, right?
Yeah, totally agree with that. I mean, it's a good sweet spot, I think. It's just enough power to enjoy on the road, but because it's light, you can still enjoy it on the track as well.
Would you say you could use this as a daily driver?
You could do. However, I don't, just because I'm fortunate enough to have a second car. But you could get away with it, but it's not so fun in the winter months. Definitely.
I noticed that to get myself in and out of this, I had to pretty much contort. It's got an aluminium tub, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, bonded aluminium chassis.
But it doesn't have those magic dihedral doors that really help with getting in and out of the tub, right?
No, there's a big frame here. You have to fire yourself over to get into the seat.
Okay. And how much shopping can it take?
You know what? It's not bad. There is some boot space. There's nothing in the front, but yeah, if you ditch the passenger, you can definitely get a couple of shopping bags in the passenger seat.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I have to say I'm thoroughly impressed with it. It's a fantastic little car. Loads of fun. I think it has a real character, right?
Yeah, no,
A real personality.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think it's, if you're used to, say, the original Elises and the Exiges, it's just taking it up a level in terms of buying power and just giving